Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aisha Skhawat with roll number 20209. In this presentation, I am going to discuss the first lecture of our third chapter, Single Crystal X-ray Diffraction Techniques, in the course code of Chem 5134. So let's start. In this slide, there is a diagram you can see about the single crystal X-ray diffraction. You can see X-rays coming out from the X-ray source and then they are passing through the monochromator, which is sky blue in color in this diagram. And after passing through the monochromator, there is a single crystal on which it strikes. After striking on the single crystal, beam is scattered on the certain angles and at last it is recorded on the detector, as you can see in this diagram. As a result, different diffraction patterns gives the information about the structure of the single crystal. Here is the instrument of the single crystal X-ray diffraction. In this instrument, there is an X-ray tube that acts as the X-ray source, goniometer on which the single crystal is present, and the detector which gives the different diffraction patterns and gives the information about the structure. Single crystal X-ray diffraction. In this slide, here is the brief intro about the single crystal X-ray diffraction. As we have discussed in the previous slide, a single crystal is mounted on a goniometer or placed on a goniometer, which is an instrument which is either measures an angle or allows an object to be related to a precise angular position. And on a single crystal, X-rays are bombarded and scattered and gives the diffraction pattern of the regularly spaced spots, which can also be called as reflections. At first, two-dimensional images are achieved and then these two-dimensional images which are achieved are converted into the three-dimensional model of the electron density with the help of a mathematical method of the Fourier transform, which can also combined with the sample data. It is also noticed that if the size of the single crystal is very small or the non-uniform, then errors or the poor resolution, which can also known as the fuzziness, may occur. So the size of the single crystals should be significant enough to determine the information efficiently. But if we have a crystals which has not enough size to give the good resolution, then various other X-ray methods can be utilized like the fiber diffraction, powder diffraction, small angle X-ray scattering, which can also called as SAXS method to elucidate the structure. Likewise, another method called as the electron crystallography are used if very small sized crystals like the nanocrystalline powders or a crystals having the poor crystallinity is used. Moreover, in all these X-ray diffraction methods, the scattering of the beam after striking the crystal is elastic, which means that the X-rays before the scattering and the X-rays after the scatterings have the same wavelength. But if the incoming X-rays and the scattered X-rays have different wavelengths, which can also known as the inelastic X-ray scattering, the other useful methods can be used and they are useful in studying the excitations of the sample. Basically, single crystal X-ray diffraction is the oldest and the most precise method of the X-ray crystallography, in which X-rays hit on the sample crystals, scattered, and the diffraction pattern of the spots recorded on the detector, which gives the strength and the angle of this beam as we have discussed before. Moreover, mean chemical bond length between the atoms within the few thousands of the angstrom and the bond angles between the atoms and between the planes within the few tenths of the degrees can be determined by using the single crystal X-ray diffraction technique. Further, as atoms present in the crystals are oscillating about their mean positions by less than few tenths of the angstroms, so this method can also measure the size of the oscillations. So we can conclude that single crystal X-ray diffraction is used to measure the bond angles, bond length, and the size of the oscillations. So in this slide, we can gain knowledge about why is the single crystal necessary and why X-rays are utilized for the X-ray crystallography. So we know that and already discussed that single crystal X-ray diffraction is utilized to determine the three-dimensional structure of the molecule quantitatively. So to determine the three-dimensional structure, it is necessary to fulfill these three conditions. The number one is type of the different atoms should be distinguishable, which is very important. Number two is whether the molecule is large size or the small sized, the position of the atoms inside the molecules should definitely be determined. And the third one is from different directions as much as possible the view of the molecules can be achieved. In other words, the relative positions inside the molecules should be obtained. So these reasons or conditions can be fulfilled by using the X-ray crystallography. So X-ray crystallography is the most popular method to determine the three-dimensional structure, and also by using this method we can determine the different nature of the crystals according to the third condition. Because we know that different crystals have different bond lengths and the different bond angles between the atoms. So various crystals can distinguish efficiently by using the single crystal X-ray diffraction. So here is again it is discussed at why X-ray diffraction is used. As we have studied before, it is used to measure the average spacing between the layers, orientation of the single crystals or the grains, structure of the unknown crystals, and to determine the size, shape, and the internal stress of the small region present in the crystals. Here is the comparison between the single crystal X-ray diffraction and the other methods utilized to elucidate the structure of the molecules. Nuclear magnetic resonance, which can be called as NMR, mass spectrometry, MS, and infrared spectroscopy, that is IR, can be used as well. But as compared to the single crystal X-ray diffraction, these above methods can give the information of the limited structures and can also face difficulty in determining the three-dimensional structure of the whole molecule. Here is the table that gives the comparison between these four techniques used to elucidate the structure of the molecules. These four techniques which are discussed here are single crystal X-ray diffraction, nuclear magnetic resonance, mass spectrometry, and the infrared spectroscopy. You can see single crystal X-ray diffraction NMR and the IR is the non-destructive technique while the MS is not. As far as the sample form is concerned, single crystal X-ray diffraction uses crystals form while nuclear magnetic resonance liquid or solid form, MS and IR uses solid, liquid or gaseous form. Likewise, all the type of the atoms can be measured by using the single crystal X-ray diffraction, mass spectrometry, and the infrared spectroscopy, but not in the case of nuclear magnetic resonance. Moreover, determination of the configuration can be done by using the single crystal X-ray diffraction and the nuclear magnetic resonance, but not by using the mass spectrometry and the infrared spectroscopy. But in case of the nuclear magnetic resonance, determination of the configuration is done by the indirect method. Determination of the absolute structures can also occur by single crystal XRD and the NMR, but the determination of the crystal structures is only done by using the single crystal X-ray diffraction technique. As far as the sample preparation is concerned, then it is noticed that sample preparation is difficult in case of the single crystal XRD, but intermediate in nuclear magnetic resonance and much easier in case of the mass spectrometry and infrared spectroscopy. Further, data can be interpreted directly by using the single crystal X-ray diffraction but indirectly by using NMR, MS and IR. In conclusion, we can say that single crystal X-ray diffraction is considered the most superior technique than the others. Here are the some points that gives the basics of the single crystal X-ray diffractions. We can call them as the fundamental principles of the single crystal X-ray diffraction. In 1912, a scientist named Max von Loo discovered that crystalline substances can act as the three-dimensional diffraction gratings for the X-ray's wavelength that is considered the base of the X-ray diffraction. For X-ray diffraction, there must be the two conditions fulfilled, that are there should be the constructive interference and the second one is sample should be crystalline. Further, what happens in the X-ray diffraction or XRD? X-rays are produced, pass through the monochromator, then collimated, and after striking with the sample, scattering occurs and hit on the detector. Further, we can say that Bragg's law should satisfied, that is n lambda is equal to 2d sine theta, which means that path difference must be equal to the integral multiple of the wavelength. This law basically gives the relationship between the wavelength of the electromagnetic radiation and the path difference. Here is the diagram which makes help you to understand the single crystal X-ray diffraction. Here is the X-ray source from which the X-ray beams are produced and strikes on the single crystals, which results in the scattering of the X-rays, and finally different kind of the diffracted beams are showed on the detector or maybe film, which gives the different structural information. Further, all the possible different directions can be achieved by changing the geometry of the incident ray and the orientation of the crystal and the orientation of the detector. Moreover, powder X-ray diffraction and the single crystal X-ray diffraction techniques have somewhat different instrumentation. Now I am going to discuss some importance of the single crystal XRD. As we have studied in the previous slides, it is the non-destructive technique and it is used to give the useful information regarding the internal lattice, dimensions, bond lengths, angles, and the site ordering details. Further, data obtained from the different diffraction patterns is directly used to relate the single crystal refinement and to elucidate structural information. If we further explain, then we can say that single crystal X-ray diffraction is the most precise method to determine the structure of the inorganic solids which have the crystalline structures. Now the question is, how data of the diffraction is collected? Basically, it is collected using the two kinds of diffractometers like four circle diffractometer or the area detector diffractometer. So the question is, what is four circle diffractometer? Four circle diffractometer is basically used to measure the intensity of the diffracted beam as the function of the angle by utilizing the scintillation detector. Here is the layout of the four circle diffractometer. Here you can see there are different four circles in which sample, beam and the detector is present. This detector is utilized to collect the information after scattering the X-rays. A computer is also used that controls the detector location. Here is also the illustrated diagram of the four circle diffractometer, same as I have discussed in the previous slide. As far as the area detector diffractometer is concerned, in area detector diffractometer an image plate is utilized that have the ability of the large number of the diffraction maximum measurement. Data analysis by using the single crystals is basically a very complex process, but by using some advancement, skilled crystallographer can overcome this problem and are able to determine the size of the very small inorganic crystals. So this method is used to determine the large number of inorganic solids where having dimensions can be 50 into 50 into 50 micrometer or maybe larger. Here is the figure of the single crystal X-ray diffraction pattern. You can see due to the scattering of the X-rays by the crystal, individual spots are formed. So fellows, you have already known that single crystal X-ray diffraction is utilized to determine the bond length within the fraction of the picometer and the angles. So with the help of this, position of the different atoms can be determined efficiently or precisely. For measurement, angstrom unit is used generally, but it is considered efficient and a very convenient unit because bond lengths are usually lie between 1 to 3 angstrom, where 1 angstrom is equal to 10 raised to power minus 10 meter or 10 raised to power minus 10 centimeter or 10 raised to power minus 2 picometer. For example, the sulfur-sulfur bond length in the monoclinic sulfur is 2.047 plus minus 0.003 angstrom, which you can see it is lie between 1 to 3 angstrom. As far as the position of hydrogen atom is concerned, we know that the small number of the electrons, like one electron, is present in case of the hydrogen. So the position of the atoms can be determined only in those solids having other atoms are lighter, which means that having atomic number less than 18. So in compounds having 4D and the 5D series elements, position of hydrogens cannot be determined precisely or accurately. So for this, neutron diffraction technique is usually used to determine the position of hydrogen. Moreover, we know that in single crystal X-ray diffraction, molecular structures are obtained. Actually, these molecular structures are mostly represented in ORTEP diagram. So the question arises is, what is ORTEP diagram? Basically, it is abbreviated as Oak Ridge Thermal Ellipsoid Program. Here is the ORTEP diagram of the cesium oxalate. In this diagram, ellipsoid is basically used to show these volume having most probable atomic nucleus present. In these ellipsoids, 90% of the probability of the atoms positions. In this slide, we discuss the effect of the temperature on the size of the ellipsoid. Basically, as the temperature increases, the ellipsoid will also be increased and the vice versa. So due to this, imprecise bond length are found. As far as the advantage of the single crystal X-ray diffraction is concerned, then we can conclude that by using the single crystal X-ray diffraction, full and the three-dimensional determination of the structures can occur. So dear fellows, this is from my side. Thank you so much. And if you have any question regarding this, you can ask freely. Thank you.